to hit like hit begin streaming? No,
I
you're live now.
I remember to hit live. I just don't hit it live until I finish the countdown because I'm a moron half the time.
Well, welcome to my world. Let me.
So, guys, this is I am trying to catch up with this daggone case. I had many great intentions of catching up, but celebrating 13th birthday and Mouse Nest versus Prius engine did not actually work in my favor this weekend. So we are still on day two, but hopefully we can get through as much of this case and be well, not as behind. Let's be honest. Hello, Christine. And hello. But I believe we are still on where the son is getting cross examined by the defense. And this is becoming a much more interesting case, Baker, now that the son is getting cross examined, I think, because it's not as clear cut as I thought it was from the beginning.
No, we. I was here for a part of it on Friday, I believe, and he seemed like a guy who liked to embellish things.
Yeah, I keep thinking of if I, or you as a young boy, were doing some of these things or um, with our parents, I don't imagine, I was trying to imagine how our parents would have handled this. And I don't know that our parents would have handled this this way, but I don't know that they would have I don't know that it would have escalated with the old-fashioned handling that our parents
No,
might have done.
no, and again, when we heard about what he did to his brother and what he did to that school teacher and all that stuff, he wasn't a good kid. Let's just say it that way. With making his sister cry in front of class and lying about him being there to evaluate the teacher, and uh, there's more to the story than they are just bad parents. I'm pretty sure they're not good parents, but he's not a good
Yeah,
kid either.
yeah, it's definitely sorry, I'm trying to set things up. Trying to remember if I say I'm live everywhere, or if I'm live just here, or there, and everywhere. Yes. So, Rowan or Ty is still on the stand, and he is still with the defense. Or no, he is now being rehabilitated by the state. So now they are going through now that I see the, CC, I remember. So they are trying to downplay the fact that he brought a box cutter or some sort of serrated edged tool to school. I still contend that if you brought a serrated edge something to TSA, they would not react favorably to you.
Yeah, it's kind of like schools aren't really fond of kids bringing weapons to school. So
No.
yeah, but no, he seems like a bad egg. But he's the only kid that they treated this way.
Yeah, well, it's a catch-22 because nowadays, if you are too strict, you end up possibly with, again, as we have said for the gajillionth time, he is adopted, locking up with no way to get out in case of a fire, bad. But, if you're too strict, then you can be brought in for being too strict, But if you're too lenient, then the state has to come in, and you are also going to get in trouble for allowing your child to be wild. So there's a catch-22 in there of yes, he was adopted from Vietnam, I believe at the age of 14 months, if I have my notes correctly.
He was
So,
real young.
yes, and the defense is going to bring in an expert that will state that that, early childhood, neglect and yeah, and th there is also testimony that he wasn't always locked in. It's going to be a he said, she said, and this victim is somewhat showing that he's not reliable, the way he embellishes things and changes his testimony. So, w it's gonna come down to, I think, pretty much, like I said last week, the experts and then the Ring doorbell
Yeah.
testimony. I don't know. That's my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I have an idea. When we see the Ring doorbell, we're probably gonna say, "Well, they went across the line." Um, but, um but again, he I have to word my words very carefully, but he was a bad egg.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, and I think it's gonna come down to, did they try to get how much help did they try to get him? Was the help that they tried to get him, were they just throwing pills at the situation? You know, were they getting the runaround? Because I think that you could get more sympathy if they were going to every single doctor, like the Maya case, and they were just getting the runaround, like, "Oh, go to this doctor. We don't know what we're doing, but go to this doctor, try this medication." Take them off of sugary snacks, maybe this'll help. So if they were truly a family at their wit's end and all they're being told is, like, "Take the gummy fruits away from him," you know, this, that, and the other, and they weren't given constructive help, then as a juror, I could maybe give more weight to that.
hmm.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, and again, as we were told, he he did do a lot of stuff that was really bad. He looked up some. We weren't told what it was. Some scary stuff on his iPad.
Yeah.
To me, it seemed that like it might have been violent. It wasn't sexual.
Yeah, I think it was some pretty dark stuff from what they were hinting at, but I don't know. But let's get into it since we do have some ground to cover, and Bunny isn't here to yell at us for pausing. It's just not as fun to pause every 5 seconds without Bunny here to yell at us.
No.
Did you bring that to
Well,
threaten anyone?
No.
Did you bring that to hurt anyone? Did you threaten anyone with it? Did you just bring it to show people?
I was in 6th grade and hey, look, I found a cool tool in the toolbox.
At that point in 6th grade, are your parents already having you live in the structure in the garage
Yes.
when that happened? Now, I want to talk for a second about some of the computer stuff.
Yeah.
Did you have an interest in electronics?
Yes.
Do you like to take things apart?
Yes.
Is that some of the times when you would take things, would you take them apart?
Yes.
Some of the devices?
Yes.
And then would you try and put them back together?
Yes.
Okay. Now you mentioned they mentioned like that at some point during your childhood in Arizona that you went to some doctor visits. That was something that Miss Murad asked you about. In your life, did your parents take you to the doctor?
Yes.
Okay. Did they take you to the doctor? Is your recollection in your childhood of going to the doctor every week?
I do have a sound booster on. Let me
Not every week, but at least before every school year,
I
You
have
mean like a
boosted it.
pediatrician or like a psychiatrist?
Did they take you to sometimes like a therapist or a psychiatrist?
I remember seeing a therapist once or twice in Florida, but not
I'm talking about
not-
Arizona.
Arizona. I don't think so.
Okay. Now, I want to talk to you a second about they asked you about in Florida, did you sometimes break the rules?
Yes.
And you said that sometimes it could be as much as 5 times a week
Yeah.
that you would break the rules.
Yeah.
When we're talking about breaking the rules, are you breaking the rules in a way that hurts the physical safety of anyone that you live with? Are you hurting anyone intentionally?
No.
Are you hurting yourself intentionally in Florida when you're breaking the rules?
Possibly.
Okay. Are you doing things like stealing candy?
Yeah.
Okay. And not talking to your parents when they want you to answer?
Yeah.
Doing things like having a bad attitude?
Yeah.
I missed the first objection. Was it? All right, I'm going to sustain that. Rephrase.
So when we're talking about breaking the rules that defense asked you about in Florida, the way that you're breaking the rules is not hurting any of your siblings intentionally, or is it hurting any of the siblings?
Sustain as to the original question, overruled as to the rephrased.
Is it hurting your siblings intentionally? We're talking about in Florida.
No.
Now, Ms. Murad asked you whether or not the punishments that your parents would do was in response to you breaking one of their rules. The type of punishment you got, did that punishment was that punishment traumatic for you? Or was being in that room?
It was unusual, but
Was being in the room?
That pause seems odd, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of some things he knows really, 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 really well, and some things he know nothing about at all, and he really has to think about it.
Well, if something's traumatic, you would say yes automatically.
Yeah.
I mean, if there are parts of your life that are traumatic to you, you would say yes automatically. You wouldn't think about it unless you're numb to it, I guess.
Yeah, and again, this is not a kid protecting his parents because he's been going on for some time on the stand. It's another thing if it was a kid, let's say the Framke case. Those
Yeah.
kids who might be traumatized to try and keep their parents out of prison or something like that. That's another thing. But this kid is willingly spilling the beans about how bad he was treated and how he had to relieve himself in a bucket. But it's not traumatic. It's
Yeah.
that's
don't
why
know.
this kid give me a weird feeling. And but again, as Bobby says, it's not about this kid being a bad kid. It's about, did the parents do something illegal?
Yeah.
Dehumanizing for you?
yes, it was.
That's all the questions I have.
All right, does this conclude this witness's testimony? Let me just.
I don't
take the
think that
video
was a
for
good
second.
defense.
All right, you can step down. Thank you for being here. Okay. All right, so he is not excused from the proceedings altogether. Okay.
Okay, so it looks like the defense will be calling him again.
For this witness, which exhibit number was it? 16? 16? You can go ahead and publish 16 now if you'd like.
Is it 69?
All right, go ahead and get set up. And since the last witness is sequestered, he cannot remain in the courtroom at this point. Just let him know that, Ms. Copeland, what that means. Okay. All right, we're going to take another 5-minute break to get set up for the next witness. So it'll be very quick, so don't get too comfortable. And we'll let you know when we're ready for you. All right? Oh, yeah, you do the publishing first, and then I'll wait here while you do that, and then we'll let you go.
I think Bobby asking some good questions about
Yeah.
when is it too far? Can you tell your daughter you're staying in the house, but you can't say you're going into that room? And again, it wasn't a box; it was an 8x8 room.
Okay, so the exhibit has
If
been
you live in
published
a
at this
trailer
point. All
park,
right,
you
the
have smaller
jury
rooms than
may
8x8.
retire to the jury
Yeah.
room.
And I think that's where you get into government overreach and when does the line cross from parenting into what the government has a say into what our societal norms, what can, you know, when is it, you know, parenting and then when does it become abuse?
Yeah,
Because some people would definitely tell you I can't tell my let's let's use me as an example, but I can't tell my 13-year-old that she can't have a crop top. You know, that's inhibiting her personal growth. That would be, mean and abusive to me, not letting her wear a crop top.
yeah,
But other people would, where does that line get drawn? And I think that's what a lot of people are getting that it speaks to a bigger question that a lot of parents are having here lately is when are these our kids and when are these the state's kids? You see a lot
y-
of fight back, not so much this case in general, but when are we allowed to be parents and make decisions for our kids? And then when is it that the state is saying, no, this is the curricula, this is what we're teaching, and you parents don't have a say. This is what they're going to learn. And I
yeah. And
think
as Iris bring up, the key on the outside of the door is the threshold. But if this kid is put into foster care or into a group home, and he acts out like he does, what's the odds that he is going to be locked in his room at the foster care place?
yeah, that's what I don't get because a lot of the things like stealing the guy's credit card or the other parent's credit card, I mean, he would have my guess is that the parents took care of that and kept him out of jail. So he would have gone to juvie. They lock you up in juvie,
Yeah. And
is
and
my
again,
understanding.
that's the, and I know it's a moral conundrum because again, that's a
Yeah.
punishment, and parents are supposed to. But again, uh, when you sleep train your kids when they're small and they don't want to be alone and they come out of the room, has any parent ever hold the door so the kid couldn't go out and said, "Stay in there. You have to leave them in there, cry until they stop." That's the same. This is just with a locked door, and that's in in my opinion, this kid was really really bad, and they needed to have some way of handling him. And is it locking him into a box? No, because it wasn't a box. It was an 8x8 room, and how much do I believe he had a bucket to pee in? Hopefully, we'll see it on the ring video because the stuff about emptying it in the backyard to me just seems stupid.
Yeah. It doesn't seem quite right. Again, if you were trying to keep this on the down low and not involve the state, you would have him do that in the toilet.
Yeah,
But
and
that's just
yeah, that's why we watch the entire case instead of just reading the headlines because every witness takes us down some new alley.
yeah. And I do like how my opinion always changes. And I will say I have a hair trigger with kid stuff. So I went into this trial definitely with some firm established opinions. And then as I'm as I'm listening to stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, this is definitely not what it was made into be. Okay, what in the world, what is going on here? Because
Yeah, but
like
again,
most cases, it's definitely, it wasn't what it was first portrayed as completely. There were
no, and
definitely some things that we didn't
it's
know.
it's the deception in the headlines. The boy in the box trial.
Mhm.
Now it's imprisoned son trial. It's
Yeah.
I know blood sells. I'm not stupid. I'm on YouTube as well, but again, you really set people up to have an opinion about these parents, and what I've heard so far, and I didn't follow the first part because I was sitting there watching a ceiling, but so far this kid, it seemed like they ran out of options, and sometimes you act out when you ran out of options. That doesn't make it right. I know that, but still, yeah.
Yeah, it's just for me, that's kind of how I kinda did.
All right, Ms. Coakley, since this is going to be a short setup, I'll remain in the courtroom so that we can start right back up.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad your podcast is also divided because I don't, yeah, we're kind of all divided.
You're on number 1
I
through
do like
15 is in
how
evidence, so
Law and
16 is
Crime
the
is
next one.
now kind of taking the breaks out of their
All
recording,
right,
or,
court is back in
but now it's
session.
confusing me because
Ms.
I try
Coakley,
to
you ready
fast
to call your
forward
next
through them
witness?
and
All
we're
right,
not there
Mark,
anymore.
Ms. Murad, Mr. Wahidi, are you ready?
Christine, I don't
All
have
right,
the
so let's
time
get
to
started.
do,
Go ahead and bring the jurors out.
but I probably should.
All rise.
But Mo can give me the cliff notes.
Yeah, that's kind of how they sold it. It was like he was literally in the box
All
for,
right, everyone
48
may be
hours.
seated. Ms. Coakley, call your next witness.
Well, a bathroom is kind of hard to establish. You need plumbing and water fixtures. So
Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right, Ms. Coakley, you may begin.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name?
Yes, my name is Christopher Lowe, Lowe.
Who do you work for?
I work for the Jupiter Police Department.
And what do you do for them?
I am the digital forensic agent for the Jupiter Police Department.
How long have you been total with the Jupiter Police Department?
Just over 9 years.
Are you a sworn police officer?
I am.
And you said that right now you're the digital forensic examiner for the Jupiter Police Department.
That's correct.
What does that mean that you do?
So what I typically do is I assist investigations anytime there is digital media or digital devices involved, and I'll assist with processing that.
So sometimes in cases there might be cell phone evidence or other types of digital evidence.
That's correct.
And so you assist the officer.
Yes, I'll assist either officers or detectives.
Now, are you like involved in the witness statements or otherwise involved in the investigation of a case?
Typically, I'm not.
As a digital forensic examiner for the Jupiter Police Department, did you assist Detective Andrew Sharp in his investigation of Tim and Tracy Fariner?
I did.
What kind of digital evidence did you assist him with in this case?
So I assisted Detective Sharp with the download of search warrant results from Ring through Dropbox.
Okay, tell me what's Ring. Are you familiar with what Ring is?
Yeah, so Ring is it's a manufacturer of home security cameras, and what they allow users to do is observe live or recorded footage via their mobile device or computers.
And that recorded footage is that something that Ring keeps possession of or a copy of on their servers?
They do.
And if a police department has a search warrant, will Ring provide that information to the police department?
They will, and they did.
Is that what happened in this case? Did the Jupiter Police Department obtain a search warrant for any video from the Farrer's ring cameras?
Yes, a search warrant was obtained.
Now, and you said that you helped somehow with the Dropbox. How, when Ring returns or responds to your search warrant, how do they give the data to you?
The way this transpired was Detective Sharp forwarded me an email with a link to a Dropbox folder. And that Dropbox folder was created by Ring Subpoenas. Ring Subpoenas uploaded the search warrant results to this folder. I then accessed the folder, observed that there was 11 subfolders and nearly 20,000 videos within. I downloaded those contents onto a physical hard drive, and that hard drive was then placed into evidence.
So when Ring responds to a search warrant, do they let you as the police officer like go through their servers yourself?
They do not, no.
Do they just provide the data to you that is responsive?
They provided the data to the Dropbox folder.
I have no
of
idea,
which
Nicholas.
They are the owner of the folder.
It's Florida.
and
It might
I
be
would
the
just have
humidity.
permissions to view and download.
You said that there are almost 20,000 files. That sounds like a lot of data.
Correct.
On average, the files in there, those 20,000 files, how long is each one?
Each file, which in specificity, they were all video files, except for a few Excel files. They were approximately 1 minute in length.
Did that make sense in the light of the type of evidence you usually get from Ring or that Ring keeps?
Yeah, so in my experience, users with Ring are able to customize the length of videos that are recorded, but typically 1 minute video is the standard from Ring.
So does Ring, when Ring is collecting or preserving the videos from their Ring cameras, are they preserving like an entire continuous stream, or is it done a different way?
No, so the majority of the videos, even when, well, let me back up. The videos are typically motion activated recordings. If the motion occurs for more than that 1 minute time period, then the video is stopped and then restarted and a new video is continued. So for example, a 5 minute interaction where there's motion.
Okay. The
Example.
parents are ill. All right, so let me look up what samurai issues are. Since we are not. Well, Suzuki Samurai issues are not what I was looking for. Damn you, Google. Wait, are you trying to, is that talk to text? Because are you trying to say summary or samurai?
Probably
David?
summary.
We're going with samurai issues.
He saw my Ninja Spider last night, so he probably thinks
That's
that's
what it
samurais
is.
in this case.
I'm over here on Google and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. And then I'm like, maybe he means summary. I'm like, Mo, don't be blonde. Maybe he means summary, but no.
Motion would have approximately 5 videos, individual videos of approximately 1 minute.
So if, for example, it was a doorbell camera and it's night and there's no movement, there's not going to be any recordings of that time frame. Is that accurate? Is it possible though,
Nope.
because it's motion activated, that
You are now locked in. You are defending the samurai and the Yakuza. We now have an entire headcanon. Ah. But maybe later on, if you get done, lawyering and such, you can explain how the parents are completely innocent and then call their defense and explain it to them. After some prosecco.
that some of the videos may capture things that have no relevance at all to the case or the investigation?
Absolutely. Any videos that would record maybe someone sleeping, they toss and turn, it would record that subject moving, but then there would be a long period of time while they laid still before another.
This is why
recording occurred.
David
Or
is
like a
never
front
gonna
door
quit his day
video
job. He has to
camera,
deal
would
with
that
us.
get
Up front.
something, maybe the neighbors moving?
It could, yes.
And that would activate it, but that might not necessarily be of importance to your
Taylor's committing
investigation.
Sudoku
Right.
right now.
So
just
then
'cause
does
he
it
doesn't wanna deal
become a
with us.
situation where
And
you
yes, I
have
know
to
it's seppuku,
find some way
everyone.
to manage
Just saying, it's
all
Sudoku
of
right
this
now.
amount of data, or go through it, organize it, categorize it?
Yes. So I find personally the technique used that I utilized in this investigation was to go through and notate timeframes and then categorize that into the appropriate folders of dates and times associated.
Now, does all of the data that was returned to Ring, does all of it come to you with the information about the time frame, the time and date? Did all of the videos have that information?
No, as I mentioned, there was 11 subfolders within that main folder that was provided by Ring. Of those 11 subfolders, 4 of them contained Excel spreadsheets that had timestamps associated with file names. And then the other, that would be 7, did not include that Excel spreadsheet. Again, of those 11 subfolders, 5 of them included videos that were time-stamped. Their file name was actually a version of a timestamp. So that was also another way to notate ways to categorize the videos.
Now, did you were you able to see or the information that you provided, is it all, or that was provided back to Ring, were you able to tell that it's all from the Ferreters household based on just the looks and what the content of the videos is?
Yes,
Is it all from one camera?
it is not.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So of those 11 subfolders, I looked through a cursory search of the folders to understand what we had received back. And each subfolder contained, again, hundreds, if not thousands of videos. But each
Okay, that's a
file had
winner,
thumbnail
Woke Wesley.
associated with it.
That was a
What a
winner.
thumbnail is just it's a small image representation of the video that's associated with. So I was able to see through the thumbnails in each of the folders, the camera views associated with the folder. So there were approximately seven different views provided of those 11 subfolders.
Now, did you ultimately locate data related to the structure in the garage where it was kept?
Yes, after looking through the subfolders, if I can refer to my notes, I can provide you with the actual folder the data was contained in.
You don't need to give me the folder. We don't need
Okay,
to go that.
but yes, I was able to locate the videos associated with the camera located within the structure, the enclosure in the garage.
And did you, based on looking at that folder, was that camera always in that room?
No, it was not. It was originally set up in the kitchen, then moved to what I would describe as a living room, and then subsequently moved to the enclosure.
And when approximately does it start recording the events that happened in that enclosure?
On what date?
Yeah.
On January 5th.
Now, did you, for the purposes, for me, did you create a USB or the data that just pertains to the room for the purposes of trial?
I did.
Did you take all of the videos as they applied to the room between January 5th and then January 28th, which is the last day?
Yes.
Did you subcategorize each of those files, though, for convenience based on date?
Yes.
Permission to approach will be
16 is your next number, yes. And permission to approach granted. Can approach.
I love Dave in chat. Why doesn't he act like this on his stream? Probably because it will
Why
get him
don't I read
demonetized.
these things through before I post them? You know, you'd think I'd learn, but no.
You do the one way, oh, the first 5 words seems okay, then you put it up, and then there's a reference to a painter from Austria or something in the end of it.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, well, there we go. So I do have in somewhere, I think I have it downloaded maybe sometime towards the end of the case when I'm working on the case board. Not, it won't be a murder board, obviously, but there is an actual interview. I believe it's about 16 minutes with the contractor they used to build this space. I guess my question comes down to if you knew this, and it seems like they are fairly affluent, and I get that not everyone can afford to find dream home, but again, why couldn't you find maybe a house with a mother-in-law's suite or something with a semi-detached place? If you know you have a problem child, you know going in you have this, that you're going to need certain amount of rooms. But as an outsider, I don't know the kind of real estate game in Jupiter, Florida. I don't know the price constraints and stuff they were working with, but it just
Let me state my ruling on the record. All right, so the
Oh,
objection is
well,
overruled in part and sustained in part for the reasons stated at sidebar. All right, now you may proceed, Ms. Copeland.
Submitting to you this very tiny USB drive that I'm glad will be the clerk's responsibility henceforth. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Is that the USB drive that you put all of the videos in that from the Ring camera that were provided by Ring
Pause.
for the room
Can you make a pause?
between January
Oh,
5th
yes,
and
sorry.
January?
Yeah, I learned that by streaming with Chizzy. It's a really good way to so we
Good
don't
idea.
talk over it for 5 minutes before. Oh, sorry. In the 90s, it became really popular to take an old caravan and put in the backyard for big teenagers when they kind of
Oh,
to learn to move away, or if you had a friend who might have a bit of a bad home. Some people had those in the backyard, so they could stay there. And again, there's options other than, but again, an 8x8 room, it's not a box.
no, I just it seems again, if you and I don't know, we don't know the full story of why they had to move and all of that, but it just seems like more thought could have been put into this, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation because they could have, found a house with a mother-in-law, thing, or just found an adequate home for their needs. I mean, but again, like, I don't know the entire story. Maybe they just couldn't find what they were looking for. It just it doesn't
Yeah,
make sense to me.
no, and no, but we're probably going to see all the videos now, so we probably going to
Yeah.
turn our mind
I
around
think
1,000 times.
I know. We have all of our thoughts together now, and then we're gonna see something else, and
Totally
February
change our
28th.
mind.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the
yes.
state would like to move it into evidence.
All right, so same objection that was made at sidebar. All right, so same ruling, so the court will receive and accept State's Exhibit 16 in evidence
Yeah,
over
David,
objection for the reasons stated
and
on the
Lena
record
is
at
very
sidebar.
happy that she can lock you in that room.
I know, I'm getting very tempted to, skirt my HOA and get my own she shed studio going.
For a second so we can kind of explain to the jury how things are organized on here for their purposes if they need to look at it later.
Okay.
So on this USB drive, you indicated that there is an index and then there are 23 separate file folders, one for each day. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Tell us what is on the index file.
So that index file is simply an Excel spreadsheet where the file name is listed next to a timestamp. That timestamp indicates the beginning of that file's playtime.
So I think we're going to show it to the jury here, and I'll make these a little bit bigger. So the far left, my left column, is that the file name for each file that's in the Excel spreadsheet?
So the far left column under start timestamp would
The
be,
one all the way over here that ends in MP4.
Yep. So that would be the file name associated with the video. Yes.
Okay, so when we look, we're going to open the folders in a minute, but when we look at each file name, there is a .mp4. That is the file name.
Yes, that's correct.
And then you said that this one has the timestamp. So the file name that is 1640781305000. That timestamp, would that be December 29th, 2021?
That is
She
correct.
has the
And it
voice
says
of a
123505Z.
that comes
What is-
to call for Judgment Day.
You know, at least she's not wearing the Murphy Brown shirt. I don't know why we've decided to bring back these blouses with the little limp tie thing, bow tie thing, but they've all come back and I was firmly against them. I voted nay.
Yeah, this should be a big woman convention where you all get a vote and say yay, nay. Maybe an online thing.
As unconventional and outspoken, I don't think I think I'd get kicked out, to be honest. Because I've seen every single lawyer seem to wear them these past couple cases, so I think I'd be outvoted. I'd get voted off the island. I'd no longer be a woman. Don't know what you'd call me.
What is Z?
So Z stands for Zulu time, which is also can be UTC. So what we do is we just need to take into account our time zone and subtract, because this was in December and January and prior to daylight savings, we would subtract 5 hours for our Eastern Standard Time.
Oh
Is
no,
Z
don't make
Zulu
the
time
math.
or
Z is Zulu.
UTC time something that's commonly used by electronic service providers
It is.
like Ring?
Yes.
I hate what you-
So in order to figure out what time these are, you just subtract 5 from whatever that time is, and that is the Eastern Standard Time.
That's correct.
Is there a way also to tell the time just based on this number here?
Yes. So that file name is actually in a timestamp format. That timestamp is called Unix epoch time. And what it notates is the number of seconds or milliseconds
this
that have
man.
passed since January 1st of 1970. So a simple online converter, you place the file name number
Why'd you
into
have
that
to do
converter and it'll
that?
provide you with
We
the
never needed to
timestamp as
imagine
provided
that.
on the left-hand side.
Can you do that math in your head?
I cannot.
No, you have to use a converter. So the easier way
Yes.
to get to the same answer is to just subtract 5.
Correct.
Okay, now I want to talk about just so because this is going to be the jury's evidence, so they're going to be able to look at it if they wish. Let's talk about what's in the folder. So the first day you said was January 28. When we open each, I'm sorry, January 5th. When you open up each file, we see all of these. And what are these?
So those will be the file names, and just they'll be the video files themselves.
Okay, so for every single one, each one of these days is filled with video files, and each of these files is about a minute long.
That's correct.
And are they roughly in are they in chronological order, starting from the top to the bottom?
As long as they're properly sorted within the folder, yes.
And so we just take that, put it in the Excel spreadsheet, and that's how we know what time it's at,
Yes, or that converter, but yes.
or the
either
converter. And so if we go through every single one of these, there's just videos upon videos.
That's correct.
Now, like we said, have you had the opportunity to go through them to kind of highlight moments of interaction between the defendant and the child?
I have.
And are there vast periods recorded where maybe nothing is really happening?
Yes,
Like when the child is sleeping,
correct.
maybe moving in their sleep, that would have recorded minute videos.
That's correct.
Okay. But are there also moments recorded that categorize the interactions between the child and the defendant.
Yes.
Were you able to observe roughly time periods of how long the child is in the room?
Yes.
Tell me roughly some
So-
of the time periods that you were.
Overruled.
So yes, in observation, I observed the child within the enclosure for excess of 3 hours at times during the day and more than
Bye,
10 plus hours
Christine. Have a
overnight.
good meeting.
Now, did you observe periods during the day in which the child was in the enclosure without any lights on?
Yes.
And what was the observation of some of the time frames for that?
I'm sorry.
The time frames for that?
The time, the durations.
For yeah, an estimate.
Yeah, hours.
Now, in order to make this much data kind of understandable, did you make some notes for yourself about when some of those interactions occurred?
Yes. Yeah.
And then did I then convert some of that into montages of the videos?
Yes.
And have you had a chance to look at that?
I have.
And just so that we kind of understand what we're looking at when we look at the montage, are those parts of the day in which there are interactions?
They are.
When he leaves and when he comes in,
Yes.
and then when the parents come in.
Correct.
And so the times in between, would it be fair to say that those times in between are times where he's like still in the room
Yes.
or still outside the room?
Correct.
Depending on if he left or came in.
Yes.
Now, permission to approach what will be state 17, which is that composite exhibit.
You can approach.
Approaching with state 17.
I don't think Baker
do
agrees
you
with this
recognize that?
statement.
I do.
Did you have a chance to look at it?
I did.
Is that the composite exhibit that I'm talking about?
It is.
So does it include not every single one of these videos,
Correct.
but the videos where there is an action or an
I
interaction?
can't go on any
So leaving,
screen
coming
without
in,
the
those
hatred.
types of things.
Yes.
And one for every single day.
Right.
I know that's
Your
an
Honor, this
ism
sounded
of
like the
some
New
sort.
Videos is state 17.
Definitely an
Any objection?
ism or a phobic statement of
All
some
right, so the
sort.
same ruling with respect to 16, which means 17 will come in evidence over objection. But I want to note that with respect to 17, it is not all of the files that are in 16. It is a subset of those files representing actual interaction or
Yes.
contact. Okay, all right, good enough.
And Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to start publishing. I'm not going to publish all of it, but start.
Okay. What's the time frame that you're looking at? in
Why
terms
is
of
it
what you have to
hers
publish?
as the one voice that you don't need a mic
Just so I know
for?
for time
I mean,
purposes.
I'll probably do about half an hour to 30 minutes right now, but then there's going to be a lot more.
Okay, all right.
This way.
It's your show at this point, so you're going to publish what you're going to publish at this point. If it's in evidence, I'm fine with you publishing it. And the jury already understands what publishing means. It means actually showing you what has been received by the court in evidence. And I would just point out to the jury, this is a subset. You can actually view the entirety of the videos if you like to do that as part of your deliberations. Yeah, we'll take care of that. Ms. Coakley, can you move the podium back so that there's unobstructed view? And does this does
It
not?
does have audio, Your Honor, so we might need to.
It does have audio, so we need to mute it.
We may need to troubleshoot that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were, I thought you had you said you had lawyerly things to do, or did I? It's really dependent on whether I make things up in my head or not.
Intending to mute the audio? All right, I just want to make sure. I thought that's what you're doing. Okay.
Ah, well, there you go. Because we are excited to hear about your samurai stuff.
Hello, hello.
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 So we're watching. Oh, okay. So this is the ring camera in the room. I was wondering if we were gonna get to
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Cool.
Well, it was slow and torturous, but we have finally gotten to this.
Okay, so my whole thing is, listen, he's in a room, right? It's if you lock your kid in a bedroom, they don't have a bathroom. Sometimes they only have one window. Maybe the kids put drapes over it. I don't even know if all bedrooms have windows. But just because there's no window doesn't mean anything. There's air conditioning in there. From all accounts, it sounds like the kid went to school. He was fed. He had access to the bathroom. The door wasn't always locked. To me, this is not the excess that the state is presenting it as. It's the same as if you have a mother-in-law suite. Like right now, I'm looking at our master bedroom that we built out in the basement. I added a bathroom, but I didn't have to necessarily. But it's a nice little sort of kind of escape. If we wanted to, rent that out or have an in-law live there, it's the exact same thing. I just don't get this. The creepiest thing actually in my mind is the Ring camera in the bedroom, because even as a child, you do have a reasonable expectation of privacy in the bedroom or say like in a bathroom. But outside of that, right? Am I missing something? There's no physical abuse, right? The kid's not emaciated. He's not physically abused. He went to school, right? All of this stuff has been established. So maybe to the letter of the law, maybe they're guilty, but that's a stretch for me. And at the end of the day, I don't think the jury should convict them. That's just what I'm saying.
Yeah, they were trying to go with the fact that he looked malnourished, but according to the testimony that has been brought in thus far, it seems like he had dietary restrictions of his own making. He was a pescatarian for a while.
Yeah, I caught part of the cross on that, and yeah, it sounds like, I don't know. It just sounds like again, parenting is hard, right? And I
Yes.
feel like this is the same prosecutor. If this child was to go out and do something bad to a third party, might look to the
Yeah.
parents and want to prosecute them. Kind of, you're
Yes.
damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering, because I mean, some of the things that he's done thus far, I'm surprised they haven't said, "Parents, why aren't you controlling your child?"
Yes.
I feel like they're
Yeah.
darned if they do, darned if they don't.
I'm looking at Shenanagram in her message. Does the law state a parent must provide a child with food, clothing, shelter, health care, no frills? Just the law says yes. Essentially, yes. You need to provide for food, shelter, medical care when it's required. Not preventative necessarily, but definitely responsive medical care. Basically, keep them alive, right? I mean, that's kind of what the law says: is parents need to at least keep them alive, and provide them some sort of education. Although in Michigan, you can opt out of public schools and do homeschooling, and there's really no follow-up with that. There's really no requirement that they have certain medical procedures, depending on your religion or other beliefs, but essentially keep them in reasonable health. It doesn't say that they have to have a certain amount of space in a room. Now, technically, it might be a violation of the local city ordinances, having a human occupy that space. To be like if you like locally here, if someone lives in a basement, they sleep in a basement, you're supposed to have 2 points of egress. And if you don't, it's not really child abuse, but it could be a violation of your local ordinance. Right. So,
Okay.
or like this camera, right? This camera might
Alright,
be technically
yeah.
an invasion of privacy, but it doesn't sound like that's what the child's complaining of. And that's not what they're being charged with. So it's just a very odd case, and I'm not sure why it's being brought. Honestly, just everything that I've been listening to.
Yeah, and again, looking at this room, calling this a boy in the box case is so misleading. And
Well, yeah,
it's a standard room in a small house. As I said, people in a mobile home has less room than this.
Yeah, I mean, 8x8
Yeah.
is like, so when my son was born, we lived in a we had then 3 children. We only had 3 bedrooms. So I took the dining room to and built it out and made it into his bedroom. Well, and we also had to have a closet. And so by the time I added the closet, it wasn't a terribly large room, but it was
No.
a bedroom. You know, it held his bed and his toys and his crib at the time, but it's not a very, I mean, maybe it was 8x9, you know.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, but it's a bedroom, right?
Yeah, you do what you do. I mean, it, that's where I think that's worrying to me is this is just one more step of where does parenting end and the state parenting begin?
Yeah.
And two things can be true at the same time. These parents could be wrong in how they're handling this particular child, and this particular child can be wrong in his actions. Two things can be true at the same time. I just don't know how to square this circle with, do I want the government to get involved in this?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, this is definitely government overreach. Now, if he was locked in there, chained in there, they said that there was a bucket. Was there any testimony that the child was forced to use the bucket?
There is going to be testimony, and there is going to be video footage that during the evening time, because according to the defense, because the parents did not feel safe with him being able to have full access to the house, they did lock him in at night, and that room did not have a restroom. He was forced to urinate in the room.
Did now, from what I understand, I haven't been watching every minute of this trial. The child that was in this room had physically attacked one of the other kids. Is that the testimony as well?
He did a lot of rough play with the younger children. One event that they did go into in detail here, where he was really rough housing with one of the much younger kids, and then he gave a 4-year-old brother a beer for an
Oh, yeah.
experiment.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Didn't
I
he
remember.
also do something that hurt his brother's face? I thought that was
Well,
just before
so
I came
that
on
was
Friday.
yeah, he was pushing him really fast
Oh,
on a
hey, Jamie.
Hi.
hello.
I've been sitting here. I was just listening.
Sorry.
So using the bucket is a bit odd.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
this
they
is
had
really
said that the one thing too, like I was just picking up on all the little things, but like when he was, you know, like the outlet, playing with the outlet, knowing he was going to start a fire, and he was very aware that he shouldn't have been doing it. And that was like little concerns they had about him, because he
Yeah.
was purposely doing things that he knew he shouldn't be doing, but he was doing them anyway.
You know, it's troublesome, say, when a child is filling a squirt gun with gasoline. You know, weird things like that. That, not that it happened in this case. That's just a case that I might be aware of. But you know, so these things are troubling, and you're like, okay, what do we do? You know, how do we make sure that this kid is safe? We have to lock everything in our house, or we lock one door. You know, and it's like, well, one obviously doesn't deprive the others, everyone else in the household, of access to things. So it's, you know, it's just a troublesome case. But I see this as the state saying, when these situations occur, what you should do is contact the authorities, and maybe we'll bring incorrigibility charges against this child rather than you doing it yourself. And it's the state really wanting to parent these kids as opposed to allowing parents to parent kids. And while this case is, I mean, I don't see it terribly bad. I mean, it's not like that YouTuber, right? Where the allegations are
Yeah.
taping to chairs and not allowing to eat
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yeah.
That goes a little bit further, but this case is, I don't know. I think the jury should acquit, just what I've heard so far.
That's the whole thing is they're claiming, he didn't get to eat. He was locked in the room. I mean, that's my impression of this whole case was he was in a literal box, locked up, no school, no outside, no nothing, no bathroom, no eating, no anything. And then the kid gets on the stand and says, well, it wasn't locked all the time. Yeah, I got to use the bathroom, but basically not at night.
You can imprison your child. You can lock them in the room. You just can't deprive them of basic necessities of life.
And then he got food. He got his 3 meals a day. He was pretty much, the only thing I heard was that he was a little irritated about the snack situation. But then they countered and said that with his acting out and stuff, the doctor said take away his sugar. Maybe that will help. And then they weren't giving him snacks, but he wanted the snacks that his other siblings are getting. But if they're not giving him that stuff because of the sugar, I mean,
I remember when I was
really,
younger.
like, you're taking it from him or you're not depriving him. No, I think that's just normal stuff.
When I was younger, apparently my brother and I would get into the pantry and make a mess in the morning before my parents got up. So they put locks on the pantry doors, and then we figured out how to get the locks open.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But okay. So what's the difference between?
Bad? I mean,
what's the difference between locking a child in a room and telling him to go stand in a corner and not letting him leave? Literally nothing. The walls are invisible, but he can't leave, right?
Yeah.
So there's literally nothing.
Even just having to go to your room and shut the door, like that was my punishment all the time. You need to stay day and shut. And yeah, granted, they didn't lock the door, but they made me keep it shut. I mean, that's why I'm like thinking too. This is why this is hard for me too, because it's like
or removing doors. Actually, I know people. I've never removed my kids' doors, but I remember removing or people have their kid was acting up and they removed the door. They lost door privileges. What's the difference between that and setting up a ring cam? I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and to me, that's the whole thing. When do the state has the right to tell the parents how to raise their child? As long as the child is fed, goes to school, isn't physically abused, isn't sick, is psychologically abused. He was doing chores. He went to school. He got out. It was just at night that he had to stay in this room because he roughhoused his children. He took a knife to school. He looked up very concerning content on the iPad. At what time is it too much to protect your other kids?
Right. Well, let me phrase it this way. Let's focus on the bucket for a minute. Let's assume these parents were hippies in today's age, and they decided to do the van life and raise their kid in the van life. And you know what? We have a composting toilet, which is essentially a bucket that you go in, and then we do environmentally friendly things with it. Prosecutors would love these parents, right? Even though the kid is literally going in a bucket still. So it's really comes down to the state wanting to tell the parents how to raise their kids, what they can and cannot do. And I'm not a fan of that.
That's why I was saying, that's kind of where I was going with it. Cause it's starting to rise to the level of these cases we're seeing where,
And I do get the fire aspect. I do get that this is not safe for fire. I don't look, I'm not saying what they're doing is correct. I think they should have gotten, there are programs. It sounds, look, I am a redhead who talks into a microphone into the internet. Like, life advice should not be gotten from me. These people their son needed obvious extra help. He obviously had some defiance or something or other that was causing him to have poor impulse control, and he was escalating in his behavior. So he needed something that would help him turn this impulsiveness, this escalation around. Other than, throwing pills at it and working on no sugar. He needed something that was going to change that.
Yeah.
And
but that was just my thoughts in watching this. I think this is state overreach from what I hear. Like I'm always a proponent of listening to the evidence. Regardless of the allegations, regardless of what Court TV says. He was put into a room built of wood and and how do they say it? It's basically it was 2x4s and drywall, but they call this something else. It was just like, oh my god, yeah, that's a technical name for it, and it's called a room.
But
But
look at
That's
pitch
my
like
entire
the-
room.
it doesn't look
gypsum board, right? Gypsum
Yeah.
board is drywall. people.
Sheetrock or
Sheetrock. I can't remember what they
board.
called it. Make it
Sheetrock.
sound like cinder blocks, right?
Yes.
Sheetrock. It sounds like they put them into a stone room, a dungeon, if you will.
Mhm.
None of them have tried. Nope. I caught them, but yeah, my boys, we had to put, the chain lock hotel locks way high up on all of the doors to the outside because they learned how to do the deadbolt and the door locks, and every single time they would be outside wandering if you didn't have an eye on them. So we had to put those up. I mean, it, parenting doesn't
Let's-
come with a standard thing.
Let's also. How old was this kid at the time?
Well, he's 16 now. Wasn't he like 14?
Okay.
Yes.
What 14-year-old wouldn't want a room like separated from everyone to begin with? Like my son, when I first built what is now my studio, he was up here all the time. He's like, I'm going to go sleep up there. I'm not going to be in the house, because he didn't feel like he had, maybe a little more control that was his. I don't know. This just seems way overblown. And from what I gather, this kid ran away a lot too, right?
Yes.
Well, they said it was attributed to all of this, but his list of things he's done, like he's
Yes.
he's not in jail. He's stealing credit cards. He's going to school and pretending to be.
Well,
people
it's
he's not.
because
I mean, there's so many things.
It's because the parents didn't do the right thing, which was get the state involved. You got to get the state involved. We're the ones that are supposed to be involved. Oh, you didn't get the state involved. You handled it yourself. Well, then now you're going to be charged.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, as I said earlier, if you had been removed from the home and sent to a group home, what's the chances he would have been locked in a room if he acted out, stole stuff?
Yeah, exactly. It's okay for the state to do it, Baker. Remember, the government is good. The government is our
Yeah,
friends.
they have an education. We have a big discussion in Denmark about force used in with people who are mentally ill, because can you strap them down if they're endangering the workers at a place? And no, you can't do that. So what do? We just force feed them with medicine. So they just sit around and sleep all day. So
Well,
we're not tying
easier to
them down
control.
with straps, but we just do it with medicine. And again, it's okay because it's the state who does a good thing. It's so
Well.
stupid.
Well, it's okay. So, when Blessed Nana, I see your message. My understanding is they didn't leave them there in the room while they went off on vacation, right? I mean, there's
No,
always the parents
And
were
it's
around.
it's the ring cam to make sure that everything is all right in the room, so they can keep an eye on him and let him out if any problem happens.
Yeah, and
When Blessed Nana, you're saying that they left him in the room and like went on vacation and left for like
Yeah.
long periods of time.
from what I understood, it was mainly at night was when they would keep it locked, because I think they were scared of him.
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
there was testimony that they most of the time, like one of the children, didn't they testify that most of the time the door was left unlocked?
The kids,
So, yeah.
well, the defense got it out. They were like, it wasn't locked all the time, was it?
yes.
He had
Yeah.
said not all the time.
It's just a weird case. And this is why I say maybe to the letter of the law, but I disagree with the law. So I feel like the jury should have quit.
Yeah, it depends again on what lens you use, and the state's going to say one thing, and the defense is going to say another, and we have to listen to both sides, and then it's really trying to filter out the noise from both sides and trying to figure out the story in the middle is really hard on this case.
Oh, I just wanted to offer my 2 cents.
Well, thank you, because yeah, I haven't
For
seen the
whatever it's
videos
worth.
yet. Oh, well, and Lucy, I haven't seen the videos yet, so I mean, like I said, I am behind.
Yeah.
So trying to catch up, but we
mean,
We'll keep
I'm
watching. I'm curious.
Let's see.
yeah.
'Cause
I thought they were going to take the audio off, but I guess
That's good.
I mean, your bedroom growing up. Just saying.
I
The
was gonna say
choice
that.
of egress is a concern, but I say that that's more of a local ordinance issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I'm less concerned about the box itself. It's just the happening. You know.
Is that the father?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just pausing it for a second to
And I
kind of
guess the
explain
mom's
what
going
we're
to
seeing.
try
So
on that.
this is the January 5th video. Is this the very first day that you got that Ring provided information for inside the room?
Yes.
And now we're looking at some data that's displayed on the screen prior to the video. Is this the file name that we were talking about before? Each video has a file name, that first long number.
It is.
That's also the epoch
Hey, guys.
time if we have the
Hey,
calculator.
Jackpot.
Yes.
And then the
Hey,
time below
Jackpot.
is the UTC
Hello,
time
hello.
Yes.
or the Zulu time.
Correct.
And then that's the conversion.
Correct. Yes.
You took a look to make sure I did it right.
Yes.
And so that for each one is the video that then precedes it.
Correct.
For those 1 minute videos. Okay.
Ooh, I'm going to a comedy club on Thursday.
Woohoo. Date night.
Comedy club. Where at?
I don't know. You want to go?
I love comedy clubs.
Good
Dave,
morning, atheist.
Why do you
aunt.
ask questions you know the answer to?
I know.
Do you
Well-
want to go?
Do you want to come, Jamie? Do you want to come?
No.
Jamie, at least I don't have that sound bite.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
was waiting
I
for
was
it.
the safe channel.
See, the fact that I can't work any sort of soundboard is working in your and
Nothing happened.
Al, you just leave it alone.
Sal, I'm going to be Sweden on this one. I'm going to have my own sound things.
You're gonna help the bad people in Hugo Boss uniforms?
I'm disappointed Farrell
Uh,
didn't even notice my name today.
Hang on, you're
I'm
too.
disappointed Farrell is up right now watching a stream because had I been streaming, she's been sleeping.
Yes. She's always
Oh.
sleeping when you and I stream, Baker.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Not for Mo, though.
Is that how
Mo
big-
and Lefty and MG.
The expert.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Dennis, might be the only person, but yes, he is Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town, and
His face
I'm
is not long
horrified
enough.
that
You need a bigger
I'm
chin.
horrified that I know who that is.
He needs a
I'm
bigger
absolutely-
chin.
Mimsy, so I will tell you that the testimony for the victim in this case was actually right prior or just previous to this. And it actually left us with many more questions. He's very
highly recommend Minzy if you haven't seen it.
yeah, I
Okay,
would
so-
I would watch it yourself. I would watch it once or twice yourself. and see what you think afterwards, because I feel like if I tell you what you're gonna see, then you'll see things, but watch it yourself and see how you feel.
Okay, I'm gonna go watch it.
It's definitely eye-opening to like what you think. So
Who's the lady in the blazer made of curtains? I will try to figure it out.
Yeah, come on in for a second. Yeah.
Bye. What are you doing? It's a butt. Pulling butt.
Yeah.
Can I talk pulling butt?
Yeah, the bus. Yeah, sure.
Can I talk it?
Yeah. Sure.
Can I talk the Legos?
Yeah.
Well, one blessed Nana, parenting is not easy. Either way you look at it. No, that is not Mo's aunt. I have no idea who that woman in the tapestry jacket is. Hey, it's the best seat in the house. A little bit of sun on you. It's finally a cold day and we can wear flannels. Closed captions and me are my best friend. I don't know.
Okay, let's go. Oh.
well, why can't we see the video? Son of a, come on.
Well, because it sounds like there's a 4-year-old or a 2-year-old in there.
Oh,
Yeah, that's probably why.
yeah.
Oh,
Also, I'm pretty
just-
biased because I know they're gonna pick out stuff. So I'm like already like, what do we got? Come on.
Yeah, and I mean, and to be fair to anyone, you take 1 minute of after Griffin has done the exact thing that I have just told him not to do 12 seconds before, and get it on Ring camera. No one's gonna look like the best parent ever.
Gonna play a little bit, or are you tired?
Yeah, we'll play a little bit.
Want to hear it though. Let's see.
Yeah.
I lived one day with my father. We were button heads.
and now he comes over and fixes your lawnmower.
I know. Now we're the best of friends. And that's how my experience was. I was an a-hole child, and now we're the
No, we don't believe that ever.
No.
I defied our
I was an angel child.
curfew all
You're
the time.
like, rules. What? Me? I'm Jamie.
I never came home on time. I never was where I said I was supposed to be.
Oh no.
I'd always catch me.
I once, before tracking devices and cell phones and all that stuff, my buddy and I once snuck out of the house to go meet up with a girl. We were hanging out at a church parking lot that was near her house, and all of a sudden we see these headlights pull up, and we're like, "Oh, it's the like the police or something." And so we go running, and then we're like running around this neighborhood, and then we ran behind this house. And my buddy ran behind the house and found a lake, and I just sat on the porch. This is like middle of the night, but I thought, well, if I sit on the porch, I'll look like I live there, and the police will pass by. And I see the headlights coming up, and it's my mom's van slowing down. I don't know how she knew where we were. I have no clue. She knew exactly where we were.
It's the UPS, the uterus positioning system. We know where you
know.
are.
Mm-hmm.
No clue how she knew where we were.
We know where your left socks are. We know where the dad's wallet is. We know where everything is. We just don't tell you sometimes just to screw with you. Sorry to let that one out.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I got kicked out of the house a couple times. They let me back though.
All I can imagine is Jamie with her little headband that's like little middle finger here with the little leaf here, and she's like, "Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna go
Stay with
home.
my
I'm
friends
gonna,
then.
I'm
Dad.
gonna go to my friend's house."
Iris, the next time my mom's in my chat, you ask her. I have no idea how she found out where we were, but you can.
We will have to find out. This is a mystery that needs solving now.
No, it was because I made the stupid decision of my parents went. My dad started his own little band, and he got like a little gig to go play at like a bar. And I thought it would be a great idea to have a party when they were only going to be gone for like 2 hours.
Oh,
He was not happy when he came home.
oh,
I was like,
poor.
what? There's like people in the house and somebody's getting I thought you guys would be, I don't know why I was thinking that. And he was like, yeah, you got to go for a second. So that was fun.
Yeah, and I think that the expert from the defense, to get back onto serious things, is definitely going to point out to some markers of brain chemistry and development that she claims signal to issues that may have happened in the orphanage that kind of predate his adoption. So
What'd you do that?
Because I don't like, because you can see like the carpet that's behind the wall, and when I want to sit right there, I want to see these pictures because I want to be right under the AC, and I don't want that wire right there on the desk.
No, I'm gonna get a link, but I gotta put that back. I want that desk against that wall.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. Let's just do this. Put this stuff out of here for right now. I guess.
Oh my God, so much noise.
I know.
Jimmy, you turn your desk around yet? I'll come by this weekend. We'll turn it around.
No, leave it alone. We're trying to rearrange my room.
No, that's it. Keep adjusting your.
Oh, I gotta go deal with rookie stuff now. You guys have fun. I'll be in the chat.
Hi, Dave. Go
Bye.
deal with your samurai and Yakuza problem.
God. Even when I tried to say samurai with voice to text, it came out as some third word. I don't know.
Always remember the Bushido code when you have to deal with lawsuits like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Go commit Sudoku.
Goodbye.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye. They are watching him installing the ring cam and video from the ring cam.
Yes. Sorry, I was trying to type in, but type fat. Jamie types fastlier.
I got you.
I was trying not to pause so we can continue moving. What year is this? This was last year.
Like 2022. Yeah.
So I don't know how many of you are Star Wars fans, but the judge reminds me of Jar Jar Binks, the head guy from the Jar Jar Binks tribe underwater, the Naboo. Just saying.
Tell me something.
Yeah, they watched him install it. And
This is your one chance. Don't look at me like an asshole. You want to tell me something or not?
I have a backpack.
Yeah, from where?
Blue van.
Where?
Green van.
Steven?
Green van.
Stealing again? I mean,
What
really?
the fuck is wrong with you? You're
Stealing,
fucking
like,
disappointing.
Chocolate and everything. We got so much stuff in your
You're
room.
fucking great. You're just such a disappointment. You're gonna lose. I'm gonna take you out of that school. And you're gonna be in this room.
He's gonna be.
You're this close. Because I can't trust shit you do. But put the ankle bracelet back on, and then you can try to fucking run away if you want and do all the bullshit you do, but I'm gonna lock your ass down.
He sounds like my dad.
Give me a fucking break.
Why your little tape?
I'm sick of the bullshit.
Can you pause?
yes. Ankle
So
bracelet?
he stole another iPad.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is what I got from that, and
Yeah.
they're asking, why do you do that? Because we have so much stuff lying around, and he's just I don't know. So you can run away and do whatever the fuck you want. I'm gonna lock you down. So again,
Guys,
he is
Yeah. Look,
I
I'm
know.
not telling you that if I was dealing with you're dealing with a 14-year-old who is continuously they keep giving him back his privileges, and again, if you were going to record my mother and my brother started doing some of this shenanigans stuff, I understand this is not how you're supposed to talk to kindly to someone, but I believe I've heard these words come out of my mother's mouth when my brother used to screw up.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I, as a young child, went right back at my father with words like that too. And we had some screaming matches. And it's going to be everybody's perspective of it, because there's a lot of people out there that have probably never been spoken to like that ever in their life.
Yeah.
And that to them is just like, whoa. But there is also some people that I don't want to make it sound like it's just okay, but it's very normal. You know what I mean? Like
People
to just
are
use
human.
cuss words. Like it's very normal to use cuss words to people. And it's not like you don't
Yeah.
mean, like, I don't know. It's hard.
So people are human at the end of the day, and under anger is fear, and the real fear that this parent has, let's say underneath all of it we assume he's a good parent. Let's assume he's a good parent just for the sake of this mental argument we're having. And he doesn't want his kid to go to jail, and all he sees right now is that his kid is going to go to jail.
Yeah. That's exactly.
And he can't get him back on the right path. So he is afraid and he's hurt. And people, when they're afraid and hurt, they may use potty words because, it's not again, should you use those words? Is it the great way to start a conversation and get your child to listen to you? No. No, it's not. But again, your son continues to do exactly the worst, the wrong thing. Is there anything you wanted to add, Baker?
Mhm.
Yep, because again, it's my dad told me when I started going out drinking at the high age of 13 that the first thing I had to remember was he was a firefighter and he knew every cop in town. And if he ever had to pick me up at the police station, he would make sure I would never forget the day he picked me up at the police station. And my dad never touched me a day in my life. But he instilled the fear of God in me that day. He took me in the car up to the police station and told me that he will never pick me up here because everyone would know it the same day because of his job. So I always had that little thing from Pinocchio sitting on my shoulder whenever I was trying to act a bit foolish, that my dad will never pick me up at the police station. And this kid could have had the same talk and he would be at the police station the next day because it seems like, and as someone said, yeah, well, he just wanted negative attention because they gave him negative attention. Yeah, they did at this moment. But did they do it when he was 5 years old? Or did it start when he started being hurtful to his siblings, starting giving them drinks, played roughhouse with the kids? It's so easy to, again, to judge somebody from this little snippet. But the reason I asked to pause was because, again, they weren't just mean and put him in a room. He was a bad kid. He was a kid who stole. He was a kid who committed fraud because he stole another person's bank account. That's fraud. It's the problem here is we are just looking at them yelling at a kid in a room, and we've been told, oh, they locked him in a room and everything was bad. And Special KL, that's the beauty about all of us pre-law troopers. We like to have our opinions and argue about them. And was he locked in a room for 6 hours, 16 hours a day? I haven't heard that. I heard he did chores. He went to school. His siblings said the door wasn't locked. And of course you would never do that. I have 2 kids. I would never do that. Have I sent my kids to their room? Yeah. Have I yelled at my kids? Absolutely.
Yes.
Have I had the talk with my kid when she started to hang with some boys I didn't like? Yeah. When she went into to the bad parts of town with her girlfriend, her friend who was a girl who had the nickname Coke Anna. Did I talk to her about having better friends? Absolutely. If she had escalated it and being on drugs or began stealing, I might have even yelled again at her. Again, we don't know what's before this, and it's yeah, he could have been locked in for long periods of time at some points, but again, if he's stealing, if he's hurting his siblings, if he's looking up very disturbing things on the internet, if they were afraid he might do something, burn the house down, try to stab them, I don't know, because we weren't told what was his searches, but it seemed like it wasn't nice things. At what point is it okay to stop a kid physically from harming you? And if they just try to help him and try to, because they adopted him at a young age, and did they just try to do it? It's so easy to sit here and again, we just get the headlines. Good morning,
Yeah,
genitals.
The best name on the internet. Um,
Flux, my daughter started dating way too young, and I told them 40 was an appropriate time to start dating, but did they listen?
yes,
No.
he's been dead for a while.
Yes, Dave.
MLS.
How did you just find out?
Yeah, and I'm 27. I'm not 30.
Yeah, I agree, Baker. I mean, obviously, this is like 2 seconds of the video, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, they're not like, are they going to tell us what the child? I mean, he was stealing. He was doing things. He was being told not to do it. He was doing things that were criminal.
And Lucy, children who suffer from malnourishment. When is this been introduced in the trial? I didn't see all of it.
It was never. They never said that he was denied food.
Have they gone through? Have you watched ahead, Lucy, to the part where they have gone over his time in the orphanage, early childhood malnourishment? Because we haven't gotten to that part yet. And I understand that the child is not on trial. What we're trying to understand
But
is when does parenting and the criminal law stuff go?
Yeah.
If you're discussing the early childhood malnourishment, then yes, and I don't agree with how they were treating the child or how they were trying to correct the child's behavior. Obviously, it wasn't working. He was continuing to escalate, so they were not correcting the behavior with what they were doing. So again, several things can be correct at the same time. He was escalating. They were trying to correct his behavior. It wasn't being corrected the way they were doing it. I thought he was 14 months old when he came over to America.
Didn't he say he was 6 months old when he came to America?
I'll have to look at my notes.
Yeah, because he said it on Friday. I believe he said 6 or 9 because I wondered why did he know that? Because he shouldn't have any memories of that. But still, if you ever did any bit of psychological studies, you know that the first couple of weeks are the most important because kids need to learn and mimic and all the stuff Erickson and people like that talk about. So we had a lot of kids from Romania coming to Western Europe back in the good old days under the Soviet, and they were just left in these major wards, totally alone in the bed, and you couldn't fix them because they didn't have the eye-to-eye contact. They didn't learn the face medics. 17 months. Yeah, so all of that will have been instilled in him if he hadn't had the proper interaction with he was 10 months old when he went to the orphanage. Okay, but again, it's being that young. He need all the stuff to lay the basics. If you go by all the child psychologists, so he definitely has a lot of problems he has to deal with. But how do you do it? In the olden days, you would beat it out of him. They didn't do that. A lot of kids back in the day, when they couldn't behave, they were just beaten until they were so much in fear of pain that they behaved. So, and it's always hard. What can you do? What should you do? And what can the state tell you to do? That's what this trial is about. We have a famous series of videos where you follow a kid called Jörn. The first part is where you see him at what would you call it? Some kind of assisted living arrangement when they're newborn, because his mom and dad were drug abusers and not the brightest bunch. And I think he was taken from them when he was 2 months old. And already you can see it, this little kid just turning inwards because his mom and dad can't stimulate him. And he grew up with massive problems with drugs, massive problems with authorities, and so it's so important that kids are taken care of. But again, is there part of him that's like a psychopath with the way he can con people, the way he went into the room with the teacher and with so much confidence, he thought he was an official. He has a lot of things in him, and again, how do you straighten him out? Do you give him the rod? Do you talk to him? That didn't help. They tried that one too. So again, I see parents who are out on the last leg. Doesn't if they lock them in for long periods of time every day, I would say that's wrong. But grounding someone for 16 hours, has anyone been grounded for a week without television privileges? Can't see friends, can only go to school
And come home and go to your room. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Did that for like a week straight.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and
I
this
mean,
kid's behavior isn't on trial, but still, it's part of it because that's an explanation why they did it.
Trial,
Yeah.
if they weren't doing the things that they did because resulting from his behavior, I mean, how do we know that we're never going to know if they would have done these things regardless if he was a good kid. All we know is that he was stealing and doing a lot of things he shouldn't have been doing, and this is what it resulted in. So it's kind of part of it.
Yeah. Well, and
what he did.
yeah, and I think, it's going to come down to a lot. What did the parents do? Who did they reach out to get help? Because if they just went to a couple people, if they didn't do
I know. I still agree with you.
Yeah, but the defense asked him, "Did you go to a lot of doctors when you were young?" And he said, "Yes." Did you go to specialists? Yes. So they tried a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Dave said, it's not illegal to be a bad parent. The child was healthy. He was going to school. He had a lot of electronics. He was allowed to do things.
None of the other kids had these restrictions. I have 2 older brothers and a sister. We had very different rules in my house because I was a typical younger brother. Everything my brothers did, I had to do at 10 times worse. I got drunk the first time at 13. I went to a club when I was 14, I believe, the first time. I lied. I slept with my friends at my friend's house just to go out drinking. I was a really bad kid, so my parents, they had different rules for me than they had for my sister or for my brothers. So yeah.
It's okay, Crime Spies. We paused for like 2 hours. So
Yeah, no, we are not we are going slow actually.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You probably missed
No,
me and my
this is
talkativeness.
well, no, I mean,
no, this is a case that I really think needs, because there are all these questions. There is that innate need to really want to protect children and
mhm.
be really there for the children, but then as many of us are parents or aunts and stuff, it's like, well, wait a minute, how far so if my daughter says I want to wear a crop top, or if my nephew says, hey, you can't ground me, where does this stop? If my kid says, hey, I can't be grounded, you can't tell me what to do, there are certain things. Dang it, Irish.
I know.
Why does work have to happen?
I know, Irish, where have you been? It's okay. We paused for a while, Irish. We're getting into the ring videos where everyone is saying that there's a lot of stuff we need to see. So
Yeah.
we've only heard a little bit, and it was a lot of cussing. Not anything too damning, in my opinion, but
No, and it's 6 o'clock my time, so I think I will jump off and make myself some dinner. I might be back if you're still going later.
Oh,
I'll have
okay.
you on
Yeah.
in the background, and then I will just yell at my iPad instead of yelling at you two.
you better try to come back.
Sounds good. Have a
See you
wonderful
later.
dinner. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being a part of this stream and spending time with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
you know I miss you. Oh,
Aw. And if you'd like to grift before you go.
I don't grift that much.
Oh, okay.
Most of the chat probably know me, and the rest is sitting there thinking, why do he have that strange Dutch accent, and do he like cheesecakes? It's yeah. See you later.
Join Baker on his next stream to find out if he likes cheesecake. The world shall never know.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
There are people you're gonna steal, you're gonna talk to police, I'm gonna give you a fucking real deal. Okay? You're gonna steal from our fucking house?
Again?
Give me your fucking phone. What other shit do you got in here? Because you're gonna lose it all in about 2 seconds. Lose every fucking
It's
thing.
all gonna
All
be
this
smashed
shit.
real
Don't,
quick.
I told you not to unplug that fucking thing, right? Yeah. You listen to me? Yeah. Bullshit, you
No, you
listen to me?
didn't. You
Just
told
unplugged
me
it.
to plug this in, and then you're just a liar. You just keep lying. You lied earlier when I asked you. You can't. I'm gonna open everything up.
Stand up, stand in the corner. Good as always, right? Lose this, right? We're gonna lose this again? Same way? Is that what you wanna do?
I can't go through everything, but I just wanna look to the side.
I know, let's just do the basics.
Why are these in here? Are these yours?
No, Pierce just jumped in the other day. Why are you bringing them in there, Pierce? Why are you bringing them in there?
What do you got all these different things?
Why?
Here. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff in here that's gonna be all.
Anything else you want to tell us about before we find it? Get over there.
Why do you have this in here? This is not yours.
What?
Where are these in here? Who are these?
What are they?
This is like belongs to the kids or.
Let's get started. Very soon. See what your lion does? See what your lion does? You see it?
Is this?
We're going back to this?
Is this to put your going later night lights and stuff? I don't know what you're doing. You just got ice cream with us, right? Why are
Yeah, I'm this close to getting you a computer to do coding.
Yeah, right.
Do you deserve that shit now? Fuck no.
Okay, I'm just gonna take this out because I was you can't trust them after all they've been. Just take this one out. Take this one out. Those are empty, right, garbage anyway. And these, because Savage has probably stuff in all of these.
Yeah, I thought too.
Why did you move this? Was that a big lie? Yes.
So we're not even getting the full story of like what proceeded to happen before this. I just don't.
Yeah.
Sorry if everybody
Well,
disagrees, but
they're
doesn't
1
feel
minute.
damning to me.
Again, it's the all the things can be true at the same time. So the parents aren't handling this correctly. The room is not a great way to handle this. It's obviously not changing the behavior.
Mhm.
This child is increasing his behavior, his escalating his behavior and not following the rules. They needed to look into different things. So all these things can be, happening in the same time period. And I don't know.
And
I
it's
guess
okay.
we'll just need to.
Just it's okay to have like feel the way you feel. I mean, it's fine. Okay, but he said he stole cookies, but he was stealing credit cards and he was stealing iPads. There was a lot going on.
Yeah. And if they started out this pattern in his family where, they had his sister, and it sounds like from the way that family, and again, this is how I interpreted all the information coming in. Every
Mhm.
time there was a new baby, he had to haul up his room, and his room was kind of the expendable room. So it seemed like his room was always expendable for the new baby, wherever they were.
Mhm.
So they didn't help him feel like he was actually a part of the family.
Yeah, I understand that completely.
So, yeah.
But it also is like put a camera in your home
Oh,
24/7,
yeah. No.
and I guarantee you every single person in this world will have moments where something happened and it's escalating to this, and outside people would look at it and be
Oh, yeah.
like, "Oh, well, I
Yeah.
never do that. That's crazy." There's gonna be somebody.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why the momfluencers are such a crock of crap.
Mhm.
I mean, because 'cause let's be honest, y we have all been that mom in the Walmart with, or the auntie, or, we have all been the one that's like, "Get in the car right now."
Mhm.
You know? So, it's just
It's
we've all had our moments where we are never gonna look, even in our daily lives, if we're not the if, we have all had our moments where we're like, "You know what? It's not our best moment."
Yeah, and, like, you guys have to think, does this rise to the level of criminal charges, prison time for
40
really bad parenting? That's where I'm coming from when I speak about it.
eh, yeah, that's so I'm waiting to see evidence because I can be persuaded either side. I'm just waiting to see evidence. I wanna see something that's more something. I wanna hear the professionals talk. I want to see exactly what went down. I want to see kind of what the parents actually did, the doctors they went to, the actual programs that they tried to have him go to. I want to see, you know, what they actually did. Did they actually take him to different doctors, or did they just throw pills at him and then just kind of, you know, just kind of fiddle fart with it?
Exactly.
Have a hidden spot and you couldn't be seen on the camera, right? But you're gonna lie to me. I want to have it this way, so I can sit this way, so I can do this, right? Yeah. So you can access to the plug and recharge the device, right?
Why not earn stuff? Why? We said we're gonna get you a computer. We're gonna get all these things. Why? Well, it's hard. You were gonna have every kind of thing that you'd want. You just earn it. You just had ice cream tonight, so why are you gonna steal chocolate? You're getting cookies, you're getting ice cream, you're getting all these things, so why steal when you're getting all this stuff?
You go off the edge at school, you'll be done with school. You'll be in here homeschooling. And I told you that's a possibility. So go ahead and test me tomorrow by going to school and misbehaving or doing any shit you shouldn't do. Test me.
Yeah, but the kid also has to participate in the professional help also, because if he's not wanting to participate, I mean, what can they do? I mean, did he want help? Did he want to talk to somebody? I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that too.
And him being so bright is a really double-edged sword, because you have such a bright child that he can, kind of manipulate that as well.
Yeah.
And we haven't heard the reason for stopping the therapy sessions. Maybe they didn't click. Maybe, they were worried that there's different things about that. But again, you're talking about a child who stated through his own mouth that I can tell which adults I can, manipulate right off the bat.
Yeah.
So maybe the parents were also like, this is one that he can manipulate right off the bat. We want him to go to someone he can actually get help from, not someone he can manipulate.
Yeah, exactly. Because just like you said, like you could drag him to every kind of therapist under the sun, but if he's not willing to participate or get the help he needs, like what can you, like you can't keep doing it. You're going to exhaust all your options, which again, I haven't heard the evidence of that yet, or whatever, but.
Well, and Nunya, who, I mean, from the sounds of her from what she's been saying in the chat, sounds like she made different choices and better choices for her child, but, her son sounds like he would, refuse to go or refuse her meds. So it's not like there's always easy choices in these situations, or that the parents can just say, hey, found this doctor and go. So
Yeah.
it seems like we can easily armchair quarterback this sometimes, but
yeah, because you can say, what would I do? I would do this, but you aren't put in that situation. You have no idea. And yeah, I don't agree with a lot of the, the things, locking somebody in a room, but we also don't know the full effect of it all. Also, like, I do like the points that David pointed out, like, what's the difference between sitting them in a corner all day? What is the point of just shutting the door and making them stay in their room all day? What, you know what I mean? There's so many different points that you can look at and be like, well, what's the difference between that and just locking the door? And did they just, we've only heard snippets. We don't know. We weren't there 24/7. So that's like my problem too, is like, you weren't actually in the situation. You don't know what was going down 24/7. So it's hard for me to really say, oh yeah, this is something you shouldn't have done at all.
Well, and
I can't
by
believe
bringing up these points, in no way are we saying, yes, child abuse, yay. No, that's not a binary we're trying to
I also
to
didn't even hear
establish.
anything about physical abuse.
Yeah, I mean, if the dad body slams him, bad. If the dad smacks him, very bad. We are not excusing any of this. What we're trying to say is what led to, I mean, there has to be something for parents who went through a very expensive, very long, usually arduous, and usually generally, psychological tests, kind of international adoption procedure with 2 children, to going into a locked room, for the safety of their other children. Generally, that's not, just a one day this happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to see the steps that happened
Yeah,
that got to this.
exactly. It's hard for me to say, like, to really see it all, and for any of us to see it all, because we were not there. We don't know. We're getting the he said, she said, you know. And bad parenting is just that. It's bad parenting. I'm just having a tough time when our government gets involved and tells us these are the things that you need to be doing, or, you know, and it's just like, so far what I have seen based off the testimony and, well, only the small video we've seen, it doesn't rise to the level of,
Yeah, and the next video we hear could be, you know, the one that's like, okay, we're done. It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
flip switch,
I'm
you
very
know. So
changing my mind for sure. So keep it going. I will shut my mouth.
oh yeah.
What were the charges again for Flux? I can't remember.
False imprisonment, child neglect, and child abuse.
And we haven't actually heard any physical abuse being. Murph, you're right. It's just hard. I'm keeping an open mind, though. I'm keeping an open mind.
Of the video. Is there a similar video for every other day of the week for the time frame that was recovered by Ring?
There is.
Now, we see that the Eastern Standard Time is on, is converted. Is there one video where there is not the Eastern Standard Time?
Yes.
Did you look at that and do the conversion for me? Yes. Okay. Let's talk about that now quickly. We are going to look at the other videos, but just so when we get there, we know, is that the last day in the room, which is January 28th?
That's correct.
So the first video, that is the EPOC time for January 28th, 2022. Can you tell us, and I will keep track, what that very first time is?
Yeah, so I'm going to refer to my notes, but the time for that would be 11:21 and 35 seconds UTC. Converted to Eastern Standard Time, that would be 6:21 in the morning, 35 seconds.
Okay. And so 6:21 in the morning is the first video. What's the next? Go through what the next videos are. Yeah.
In chronological order.
Yeah.
You want me to give you the
Really, Sandra, that's the question. It's how you're looking at it.
Okay. So the next one's
Exactly.
6:43 and 7 seconds Eastern.
And from
Standard
what
Time.
I heard, it was the opposite. It was
Go ahead.
The next one would be.
it wasn't locked all the
6:44,
time.
13
And
seconds.
he was getting in trouble a lot and being placed in the room.
The next would be 7:10.
I was
and
placed
4
in
seconds AM. The next would be 7:20 and 44 seconds Eastern.
What?
The next would be 7:21 and 50 seconds AM, and that's Eastern Standard Time. The following would be 7:57 and 23 seconds Eastern Standard Time AM. The next would be 8:31 and 8 seconds Eastern Standard Time, again in the morning. And then finally, 9:02 and 38 seconds Eastern Standard Time, and that would be in the morning still.
And then that's the last time that the victim in this case is depicted in the room.
Correct.
Is 9:02 a.m. on January 28th, 2022.
That's correct. Yes.
There's one other one that's missing, right?
Yes.
Which on January 17th,
16.
16th,
Yes.
and what time is missing on that one?
So on the first video, the time that's missing is 5:23 and 44 seconds AM Eastern Standard Time.
All the rest of them have the appropriate Eastern Standard Time, right?
Yes.
Now, I want to talk about the fact that there were some things that were picked up on additional cameras as well, right?
Yes.
I want to show you a few videos.
No, the kid testified that he was allowed, like he was able to use.
We've heard so far in this case that on occasion
four.
the victim in this case was asked to rape or pick up shells outside the home. Was some of that recorded or found on some of the ring camera videos that the return came back on?
Yes.
Permission to approach.
Granted.
Returner will be state 18.
Well, that's what I said, Flux. It's like the stuff that he was doing, he could have been in jail. But he was put in well, we keep saying a room or a box, but I mean, who's to say it's not his bedroom? His bedroom. He was put in his bedroom. I mean, that's what I would consider it. If he was sleeping in there, then it was his bedroom. He could have been in a prison cell, literally.
What I will say is I really do like this judge, regardless of his very, very high resemblance to Jar Jar Binks's boss and mayor. He thoughtfully takes in everything that he's asked to think about. I've seen him kind of partially overrule and partially sustain things, and he really does take time to really think and go over everything and really go and take time to deliberate every part of this case. So I really do like that. I mean, his tie was super duper loud in the morning or the first case or the first day, but he has done a really good job of just sitting through and really talking to the lawyers, really going through each and every thing that he's been asked, and then being thoughtful and deliberate, and I think really, really fair. You know, questioning the defense. Okay, well, make your argument. Let me turn us down a little bit. I have turned the cord up as high as it'll go on my doodad, my
Definitely
plugin.
say anything while it's going until we pause. Because I want to hear this too. I haven't.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short 10-minute break to get technology set up. We will finish in the normal time today, so, and I wouldn't even take a break now, but for the technology that we need to transition for. All right.
Sandra, that is a good comment. It's true. Like everybody has their own
Our
perception
court will be in recess for 10 minutes.
and their own parenting.
Technology. All right, we're back in session. Ms. Murad, Mr. Wahid, have you had the chance to do what you need to do? Okay. How much more time? Okay. Ms. Coakley, how long is this next publishing?
It's going to be short.
I plan on breaking today about 5 minutes to 5, so that's the reason I'm asking. Mark, so that he left, he didn't come back? You didn't have to tell him he wasn't, he was persona non grata? Or he- All right. Okay. Okay. Fine.
I guess. Of course, I say that they.
You know, Mark, I typically like the blinds open so I can see the view, but I understand. that
Hi,
with the
David.
Cameras.
Hi,
it
Farrell.
probably creates too much light for him.
Hello.
Did you just see me?
You know, I will say I like his hair choice better than I liked Gareth. So, you know,
We're good? Okay, Ms. Coakley, you ready to proceed? All right, Mark, you can bring the jurors out and we'll get started. And I'm sorry, Ms. Coakley, how
you
long
are
did you say you
okay,
think the
Kaiser.
These are like, I'm just gonna show like 2 minutes.
All right, so when you get around close to 10 minutes till, start to look for a stop off.
I'm gonna be done with direct in a minute because I'm not
Oh,
gonna
okay.
publish with everything with him on the stand.
Okay, all right, I'm with you. All right.
Wait, is that all they had?
I might have to call him back like tomorrow briefly, but for
Well, I think what they're doing is they're putting him in as foundation, but they're not going to. It's like when you bring in the DNA scientist, but they really don't say anything other than this. You're the scientist that these are
All right, everyone may be seated.
packages. These are scientists.
All right,
and
Ms.
then-
Coakley, you may continue.
I showed you what's going to be marked for evidence. It states
Restriction.
18. Which am I 18? Am I right, Madam Clerk?
Your next exhibit is 18.
18. One of them was a video where I showed you 2 different USBs, correct?
Correct.
And did you recognize the videos in both?
Yes.
Are they from the doorbell angle camera from the Farader's home?
Yes.
And they're just like a selected 4 or 5 videos for each of the 2 topics, correct?
Yes.
And the first one that's going to be marked as states 18 involves the shells. Are those the true and accurate videos that you received from Ring?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to move them into evidence as states 18.
Okay, Ms. Murad, you're going to renew your objection made at sidebar. All right, so the court's ruling at sidebar will remain the same. So the court receives and accepts States Exhibit 18 in evidence over objection as stated at sidebar.
And states 19, you reviewed as well. Does that also show a similar view, but this time the child, instead of with the shells, is raking leaves?
Yes.
And it also shows him trying to get in the house and it not being open.
Overruled.
Yes.
I mean,
Are they true and accurate depictions of the videos that you received from
yes,
Ring?
Yes.
Now, these 2 video Ring cameras, we talked a lot about the date and time associated with the videos in the room. Did Ring provide the data for the date and time for these videos?
I did not observe date and time associated files.
And the file name for these, is it the same way where we could just put the file name in, or is it a different, they use some sort of different file naming system for that?
It is not the same format as the previously observed files. It has a unknown to me reason of creation. It is not the epoch or the Unix timestamp that we had previously gone over.
And that's just Ring didn't provide you that information.
Correct.
And so in this case, you don't know whether or not Ring preserved that information, or if maybe the way that the cameras were set up weren't set up to retain that type of information.
Correct.
Now, we're doing like 4 or 5 videos on each one. Were these part of a much longer depiction of the same thing over and over?
Yes.
Microphone.
So the child moving rocks,
Oh,
that happened
Lord.
over much longer. There's many more.
Nothing
videos
can
of
go
him
wrong
doing
with
the same
that.
thing over and over.
right?
So these are just for to illustrate.
I don't already say
Correct.
random terrible
So
stuff
let's go
anyway.
to, state 18. And just take a look at one. And just for the record, I'm publishing 705-085-752 566-068-7348.
For 18, right?
For that's on 18.
And you're not at 19 yet, right?
No.
Okay, all right, good. All right, so you're asking for permission to publish Exhibit 18 that's received in evidence, correct?
Yeah.
All right, granted.
Oh, good. So it's like a indulgence. Woo!
Pushing the fourth video on that file.
Yeah. We find a place for him. Right, too heavy for the garbage.
Okay, so is this supposed to be him raking the leaves?
Or the shells. I have plenty of hours, so we are good. And yes, I have plenty of hours. I think I'm up to beyond 4,000.
Oh yeah, you just need the 500. Come on, guys, let's get Mo the 500 subscribers. We're so close.
They won't let us see him raking shells. So, my Florida people, do y'all use shells as mulch?
So she said he was raking and then he went to try to get in the house and it was locked. That's what they want us to know. Is that
They did up to a point. Now, up to a point, and then their case has been severed. That's why the thumbnail has both of them together, because up until just several days before this case started, their cases were severed. I believe that the mom might have said something different. It was a little bit murky in the articles, but there were a little bit shells, not shelves, shells, like seashells. Okay.
Merv? Shelves? What does that mean?
Sorry. Yes. Okay, so the mother
Not yet
okay, the
gonna
mother
pass.
lied to the cops, and
Same objection, same ruling, and
I
same
thought that
attitude
was
to the
my
defense
computer. I was like,
calls.
"What the hell is my
Right,
computer
19 is
doing? I
received in
didn't
evidence.
do anything to it." Huh. I'll have to look into that. Okay, that makes yes, but shelves would be confusing too. I could understand why you were confused. It is strange though how our mores as parents have changed, because I remember my mom telling me about how um her grandma, or her mom, my grandma, would just lock them out of the house at the beginning of the day in the 70s, like have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the hose, and she's like,
Yep.
get out of the house. You know, they were expected to just, take care of themselves the summer. So
That's
it
what
is
I did. Threw us a peanut butter sandwich and said, if you come step foot in this, I'm locking the door. You want in, you're gonna do inside chores. Go play. Go do something.
Interesting. We will have to look over there. Yes. Yeah, so it is strange again. Because now we're like, they locked the doors? Now my kids are like, "You went places without cell phones?" I was like, "Yeah, we used to leave Post-it notes with
Yeah,
our general idea of where we might could be, possibly."
no communication.
Okay, Cross?
But that's it, guys. I'm not
Well,
BS.
again, I think they're bringing him in just for the foundation of, like, were all these found legally? You didn't, like, get these off of Hulu and,
Okay.
you know.
Well, if they have more to play, I'll listen. But so far, that was not very damning evidence to me.
Well, my guess is they're gonna bring a lot of them up when they bring the psychologist up.
Nope.
So there were 21,000 videos that you were provided, about 21,000.
Over 20,000.
Okay. And there's Ring camera, as you know, you saw kind of outside the garage, so you can see into the back area, right?
Okay.
Is that a yes?
Outside of the garage to see into the back area?
Oh, I'm sorry. Outside the front garage, so that you can see the front yard.
Yes.
Okay. There's also a Ring camera, like the jury just saw on the front door.
Yes.
There's a Ring camera in the room.
Correct.
There's a Ring camera in the living area,
Yes.
so you can see walk about freely in the living room.
Okay.
Is that a yes?
There's one in the living room, yes.
Okay. And you've reviewed all the videos.
I've reviewed videos of the camera placed in the enclosure.
Okay, so you have not reviewed any of the other videos. Is that right?
I spot checked a few of the videos in other folders when determining where the videos for the enclosure were located.
Understood. There's also a Ring camera sort of on the back patio of the home so that you can see, I mean, it's really like a back patio, backyard area. Is
Yes.
that fair?
Correct.
And then I think there's one or two other cameras, correct?
Yes.
And of course, the state hasn't presented all of that to the jury. They've only presented.
Sustain, rephrase the question, Ms.
At
Morales.
this point, what you've seen is not all of those videos that have been presented to the jury, right?
Overruled.
Correct.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have, Judge. I have this witness under a defense subpoena to admit my own videos.
All right, so he's not excused at this point, but
That's
there,
fine.
is there any redirect?
He's still sequestered.
All right, there is some redirect. All right, you may proceed, Ms. Coakley.
So as we discussed, there's hours and hours of video that have nothing to do with this case that show none of even the parties in this case.
Correct.
And it's an amount of data that's almost unmanageable.
Yes.
And so the part of the crime in this case, all of that has been admitted into evidence, correct?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Okay. All right, I'm going to overrule that. The jury will ultimately decide that once I read them the instructions of law. All right, sir, that concludes your testimony today. However, you are not excused from all proceedings yet, so you remain under subpoena, which means that you still are sequestered, so you cannot be in the courtroom to listen to any other testimony of the witnesses until your testimony is complete.
Understood.
All right, thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
All right, so we have just a very few minutes left before 5. Do you have another witness ready that was short, or?
I don't have another witness. I do have additional videos to publish, Your Honor, but they're probably close around in the, I can look
I was going to break around 10 minutes to 5, so that's only 5 minutes. All right. How long a video do you have? All right, so that's going to be too long. All right, that's good news for you today, because that means that we're going to break just a little bit early. We're going to follow the same schedule tomorrow as we followed today. You'll check in with the jury office at 9:15. Be up here at 9:45 to meet with Mark, and he'll bring you into the jury room. Shooting for a 10 o'clock sharp start time again tomorrow. We are still in the state's portion of the case, and they will continue to be presenting evidence.
Okay. And then I am going to stop here for at least this morning. Mr. Mo has today off for federal holiday of unspecified origin.
Mhm.
Depending on who you are, it either pisses you off. Depending on who you are, the renaming pisses you off. So it's just of unnamed origin at
Yeah.
this point. But I will probably start up this afternoon around 3 or 4, since Mr. Mo is home,
Okay.
to get on to day 3. So I will put that up and then and then let you guys know on X and on other places, like the Discord for MLS. I am on there.
You better let me. I'm still interested in seeing what we got.
Yes, I will let you know. I will always add you on and invite you as a guest because I love Jamie. When I have custody of her, I have to share. So when I have custody, I love. But I did promise Mr. Mo I would somewhat help him, although I don't know why he wants my help because I'm generally not helpful.
That's what I always say to people. I'm like, you need me to what? You sure about that?
Well, it's more that he's like, Why are you holding it there? Why are you holding it here?" And I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
then why am I even here if I'm not helping you at all?"
David, we do enjoy you coming on with your commentary because you
MLS, I'm
give us
always
the
assuming that you're a lawyer.
Yeah, and I love the lawyer perspective because this is right up his alley with
Yes.
a lot of these cases where is the government overreaching? And that's what
Yes.
I've learned a lot from David about that, because a lot
Yeah.
of the same thing where it was like you're putting too much of your personal views into it and you're not realizing is this criminal or is this just really bad parenting? And where
Yeah,
does the
MLS, I
government
will definitely
get to
give you
step?
an invite too.
Yeah.
I just never want to assume that you're not actually doing law stuff because as just a redhead on, the inner tubes, I simply assume that people have real jobs, and I never want to assume that people don't have real jobs.
Well, he'll tell you all day I'm busy, but then you give him a link and he's like in there. He just comes on instantly.
Well, then or then he sends something from voice to text, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, I'm trying to look up what you said, but that doesn't."
He's always
And then
yeah.
But thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you for spending some time with me. I appreciate it so much. You guys are awesome chat. We've talked about all the big things, and thank you for being respectful. And can all have different opinions. I enjoy it so much. This is a wonderful day. I always feel so much smarter when I'm around you guys because we can have these talks. So join me again this afternoon and we can have these talks again. I will see you guys in a little bit. Bye. I have to take Fry for a walk. Bye, guys.